Our next Earth Talk will be by Dr. Beate Liepert.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Phil. My presentation is a little bit drier because I'm a mathematician and a physicist, but I share the loving Earth. And when Governor Inslee talks about science-based decision-making, when he addresses easing the stay-at-home order for Washingtonians. So in the case of the COVID-19 pandemic, science-based decision-making means really weighing the public health risks of various scenarios, like social distancing or do nothing, with the other economic and social impacts. And the risk assessments Inslee makes, they rely on pandemic models, basically computer simulations that consist of mathematical formulas and also input data from public health. So the input data are the ones that bear the uncertainties, and the mathematical formulas, they provide the complexities. Nothing about this particular process is unfamiliar to a climate scientist like me. I spent most of my careers evaluating climate models, reality checking climate change predictions, and providing this information to the public. And as a community, we climate scientists are spectacularly unsuccessful. Our curve, which you see here, the global mean temperature curve, never bent. In contrary, global warming has been accelerating in the past decades. According to this Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Special Report, this is the Paris Agreement 1.5-degree report. Climate skeptics is also not unfamiliar to climate scientists. Hearing skeptical voices from politicians and citizens alike that doubt the usefulness of scientific models in guiding economic and political decision-making is common to us. So because of this kind of criticism, already 3 decades ago, so in the 1990s, the climate community teamed up with economists, social scientists, and all kinds of other scientists to integrate their risk assessments. And these economists and social scientists, they come up with a variety of future scenarios and of social and economic activities. For example, how much oil do you buy and so on. And then scientists, other scientists, translate these into emission data of greenhouse gases, air pollution, and other impacts like land use change. So then climate modelers, they run these complex simulations to predict the climate of these future scenarios. They do not predict the future. That's a big difference. So these resulting climate change predictions, they are then plugged into other models, namely impact models, that assess the potential socioeconomic and environmental consequences. A good example is crop models and how do you feed the world questions. So in simple terms, climate scenarios are storylines on how we may live and how we do business in the future. Models predict what consequences our choices have for the climate and how sustainable the storyline actually is. This process is tedious and laborious. In the past 30 years, the climate community has developed an international framework of sharing, coordinating, evaluating their models. And it begins very simply by just agreeing on units to use. So accessibility of the data itself and the models and publications of numerous reports, this is all handled by the IPCC, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. And all this is presented to decision makers worldwide on a regular basis. So in conclusion, in contrast to COVID-19, climate change is a slow process. And as is the case with the COVID-19 pandemic, the earlier we intervene and bend the curve in climate change, the better we will be off in the future. Public health experts and economists are only beginning their worldwide coordinating and sharing efforts. These models have not been compared yet. The climate community has an international framework that works, but is unable to convince decision makers to act. The public health community can learn from the climate community how to effectively work with scenarios and models, even on a global scale, particularly on a global scale with global challenges. And may the public health community be more successful in advising decision makers to act timely and accordingly than we climate scientists have been. Thanks for listening, and stay healthy.